Hello, 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 and welcome to the Drag Race RHAPup here on reality TV RHAPups. I'm your host, Liana Boraas, and we are back. It was a short little baby hiatus for us, but we are here to talk about All Stars Season 9, if you can believe it. Talking about episodes 1 and 2 that both aired on Paramount Plus. And wow, we are in for quite a season, I think, based on these two episodes. But let me welcome in our wonderful panel, of course, who's here with me to help break everything down and give their impressions of this cast, the format, and everything else that happened in these two episodes. First, let me welcome in Beth Dixon. Beth, how are you?
Doing great. As you can tell, if you're watching the YouTube video, I clearly took some time off from Drag Race and enjoyed myself. So I got a little bit of a sunburn and we're having a great time. No, but I'm excited. This was such a fun couple of episodes to premiere All Stars 9. I think that sometimes when you go from one season right to another, you could feel like, oh, I didn't really have a chance to catch my breath. And I almost felt like that with season 9 until I started watching it. And then I was like, oh no, I'm so stoked to be here. So I'm excited to break everything down with the two of you today.
Well, and of course, the two of us would not be complete. Three of us? I don't know. Whatever. Look, Aman's here. You know him. He's amazing. Aman, how are you?
I'm great. I enjoyed these past episodes as well. Quite a few queens that I'm like excited to see come back for All Stars, even though, we know the dialogue behind All Stars. It can be a little bit fatiguing, every year. The novelty kind of wears off a little bit. But you know what? I'm into it. I'm here to talk about everything, and I'm excited to be back.
Okay, perfect. I think I really want to start with the cast. I want to talk about the cast first because this is, as we now know, a non-elimination season. So none of the queens are going to be going home. So this group of 8, they're going to be sticking with us the entire season. And I have to say, Aman, my initial impression when I saw the cast list was like, okay, sure. Like Chanel, I was like, okay, that's a gag. That's fun. There were some people I was excited, some people that I was like, okay, Georges, like that's fine, whatever. But when I see them all together, I don't know. There's something about their dynamic that I was just loving all of it.
Yeah, I kind of felt the same way. Like, we're on All Stars 8 at this point. So we're getting to the point where
9.
It's like, or excuse me, 9.
Exactly.
Exactly. It's days before my eyes. We're at All Stars 9 at this point, and like, we're getting to the point where it's like, not every All Star season now is gonna have like a smash cast, but I do think that there's still like plenty of like good nuggets in this casting. I mean, obviously, we expected Vanjie to be back at some point. We expected Gottmik to be back at some point. We expected Angeria to be back at some point. I don't necessarily know, even though I love Georges to death, I don't necessarily know if I was expecting her to be back this soon, but I'm not mad at it. Like, I'm a fan of Georges. And so it's been an interesting dynamic to see all of them like smash together. It's been a hallmark rendition for at least like one early season queen to be a part of the cast. So that being Chanel is not, a disappointment to me either. So yeah, like on paper, it's like fine. And then when you get to the premiere, you're like, okay, I'm invested. So I'm here for it.
Yeah, I think that a lot of times with these all-star casts, it just kind of feels like who's who of who's available kind of thing.
Yeah, who's who of the who's who.
All right. The who's who of the who's available. Somebody said that, and I think it was the Vivian in All Star 7 as like a joke for her roast or something. But
that sounds familiar, yeah.
but I do think that the only reason why I feel like I know that is because I recently rewatched All Star 7. But I think what makes this cast so special is that there's not a lot of overlap of this queen does what this queen does. These are 8 really different queens. And the fact that we have 3 from season 11, which I think for a lot of us we kind of think of season 11 as being like one of the more predictable seasons we've had, where we knew it was probably going to be Evie or Brooklyn or somebody who was going to win that. And we've seen a couple of season 7 people already come through, like Scarlett and Raja, and they've had these wonderful glow ups on All Stars. Season 11, I really truly think has had this catch lightning in a bottle for season 11. We have 3 of those queens on the season, And the fact that those 3 queens are not exactly like the most cliquey because they were on the same season also makes for interesting flavors. Like, I think it's really interesting to see queens who have clearly been working together in Las Vegas or have been on tour together or just have a similar background. They're from the same area together, or just had this really wonderful experience working together. And now they're here on the show together. And I think that makes for a fun dynamic. When you think of other All-Stars where you had queens who were from the same season, like All-Stars 2 having all of season 5 essentially again, or like all these other seasons where everybody was basically from the same season, it kind of like you kind of knew what you were going to get into. And I think that because we didn't really understand what a lot of the dynamics of these queens were ahead of time, plus the fact that they're all individuals that nobody's really overlapping each other in terms of what they do, their style, their aesthetic, it's really interesting. And on top of that, these are queens that are just entertaining people anyway. And I think that as nice as it's going to be, because there is a non-elimination format, kind of similar to All-Star 7, I don't think you're going to have any queens that are afraid to speak their mind. And but not do so in like a mean way. They might be like reading people because that's what queens do, but it won't be like shade all the time every day. But it might be like, girl, I didn't like that you did that. And I kind of like that. I like that people feel like there's a safety net for them to be able to speak their mind as well.
I think that's definitely a possibility. For me, what really stood out about it was more what you were saying earlier, Beth, about the, I don't know, like the lighthearted, goofy banter.
Yeah.
Like that's maybe the best way that I could think to describe these first 2 episodes. And there's one scene in particular from the ball episode 2, where Vanjie and Gottmik are eating fruit by the foot in the window. And
Yeah.
I
Of a
don't
break
know,
room.
of a break room. And I don't know why, but it's just like this silliness, goofiness that we're able to see. And it seems for some reason in that moment really just seems to be like encapsulated there. That to me outlines what we've seen so far in the season. Because even though we're getting some of this snipping, cutting, right? So we get Roxy who gets blocked, and we'll talk about those mechanisms in a bit. But Roxy gets blocked. And even though Roxy and Angeria are kind of like throwing shade at each other, it is so lighthearted. Like nothing really feels like pointed. And maybe it has to do with the format of the season, right? Where there's non-eliminations, of course, but also they're playing for charity. And as far as my understanding, they're being compensated. So it's not like they're not being paid, obviously, at all. That they're being compensated for the season and have money for clothing and things like that. Like they were given money essentially to compete. And then the competition is just for funsies, like for charity, like it's genuinely just for fun. And I have to imagine that that also carries over because those $200,000 is going to be one for the charity and is not necessarily for the queen. So maybe some of that, the biting like nastiness of competition might end up being less in this season because of the format as well as just the queen's attitudes.
Yeah, see, I mean, I'm having fun with the season so far, but I did have the thought of like, oh, I do sort of agree with the critique that the stakes feel a little less this season with there not being a cash prize, or at least a announced cash prize for the winner. And of course, yeah, you know, they're on the show. We know that they're getting paid something, but I don't know. Maybe this needs call me like maybe like a dirty capitalist. I don't know. I want there to be money. Like I want there to be like, you know, I need for there to be some type of incentive outside of the charity. And it's not that I don't believe in being charitable. Like I'm glad that they are getting the money. I am glad that all of these platforms are being presented on the show, and they deserve it and they need it and it's required. I get it. But I do sort of like miss that sort of competitive element that is added in when you have a prize for the queen. So there is a bit of me that's like, like what are we here for? And I do agree. I think that there is the possibility for it to be for the queens to sort of be a little bit more candid with how they feel. But I think that in a situation where the whole point is to not get snipped, you're going to be a little bit less you're going to be a little bit more
Snippy.
reserved. Yeah. So that you're not going to be snippy, so you don't get snipped.
Yeah.
So it's I'm hoping that maybe we it's only 2 episodes, right? So we don't really know what's going to happen yet. I think that there might still be room for a little bit more drama. But I do hope that there is a little bit more drama injected into the season, because it's Drag Race. We need a little bit of fighting. We need a little bit of drama, and we need a little bit of like snippiness. So I'm hoping that still is there, and I think that there's still a possibility for it to be there. I just don't want it to be as much like All-Star 7 as it is appearing to be right now. Because I got it for All-Star 7. They're all winners. You want them to come back. They made their money. They want to showcase everything they got. I don't necessarily know if I need to see everything that all of these queens have for All-Stars 9, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, that's how I was trying to think about this as well, because having just done my rewatch of All-Star 7, it is very kumbaya, but at the same time, but you didn't really need the winners to be going after each other. And there were moments of drama where someone you could tell was upset that they got blocked again, Jinx or Viv or whoever, but it was never actually going to be a huge plot point of them versus the other people in the competition, right? What I do think would have been better, and of course, and I hate to say like, well, we should have lowered the amount going to charity. That's not what I'm saying. But
y'all are both like, fuck them charity.
Could you imagine if I was like, actually what they should have done is said $100,000 to the queen, $100 to the charity of choice.
They should have charged the charities.
It should have been like that. I think that it should have been anything you win gets matched, and we will donate on your behalf to a charity.
Yes.
And so that is where I sit back and I'm saying, like, if you need to lower the lip sync prize to $5,000 an episode, but $5,000 goes to you as a queen as a tip, and $5,000 goes to your charity, I would have been about that, because it's very I don't know. I agree with you, Aman. I think it's very like it takes some of the bite of the competition. I liked when the non-elimination format was just for winners, but I'll be honest in saying, and I think I've said this before on the podcast, that I always feel really bad for these all-star contestants when they come back, and if they get eliminated immediately and they win the $40,000, $50,000 worth of debt to have clothing that could go on here. It helped a little bit with the Fame Games last time to have that, but it didn't really add much, to be honest, at the end of the day. And we've seen them do different formats. So what I was hoping would be the actual format was that season 16 was actually going to tease that they would be doing Rate a Queen at a non-elimination format, where the queens all vote who is, the top or whatever. And that still has somewhat of the All-Stars rules to it, but at the same time allows the queens to have this moment where they have a little bit more agency. It could cause a little bit more drama. And even if it still has a charitable focus, it's like, ooh, well, so-and-so voted for this person, and make the results known.
Yeah.
Don't have them as a side, Yeah,
there's just so much dialogue already about how, All-Stars is, it doesn't feel as impactful, right? Because of so many seasons. So I just think that you're sort of like doubling down on that narrative when now it's just for charity and for funsies. Like, I just want for there to remain
charity for funsies.
Charity for funsies. And I know that it sounds bad, and like, again, I reiterate that, like, I'm not saying that I'm not glad that it is a charitable season. I think that that's awesome. I just think that, like, at the end of the day, it is a competition. So I want for them to be fighting for themselves as well as the charity. So
the girls are fighting for who? Themselves.
And like,
and charity.
There was someone that one of the queens, openly admitted it. They were like, I would not have come back if it was not for charity. And it's like, damn, like, so you already have the queens that already feel like All-Stars is like not what it used. Yeah, right. Like, it's like, so now they're being charitable to the season. It's like, come on, like, let's,
I wonder how much of that is real and how much they wanted to look like a good person on camera. I'm just going to say it.
That is a possibility as well.
It was Chanel who said that. And I was like, girl, let's not pretend like you didn't jump at the chance to come back on.
This girl's been a long time.
Come on. I love you, Chanel, but I see you. It's okay to love charity and to want it and have that be an added bonus, but come on.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I feel.
Yeah, I hear what you both are saying. And I think that was something that I didn't even think about in the first 2 episodes because it was just like, oh, Drag Race is back. Like, we're having fun. But I think as the season progresses, I can like that sense of competition and like, hey, we're here to actually compete. And then also, I think with people not getting sent home, I'm just nervous that while I'm having fun now, some people, it might rub me the wrong way going long term. So, that's also, of course, always going to be an issue with seasons like this. I'm all right with them testing out this format and let's just see how it goes, because if it ends up being an absolute failure, I hope that they would recognize that, like, hey, let's not do this again. Let's do something else. Let's find something in the middle ground, because the idea about trying to make sure that this is a good opportunity for the queens, that they're not wasting their time, their money, getting them back also. I think that there's probably a lot at play when they're coming up with how the format of the season is going to go. We see this in The Masked Singer actually a lot, that the format of the show changes kind of depending on the contestants. So I don't know how that's factoring into the decision. So for now, like, I'm cautiously optimistic, but definitely I think there's an avenue where things maybe start to get a little rocky. And I will say I already even felt it in the first couple episodes with the judging. I was like, okay, can we like be meaner though?
Yeah. It was very much
still very All-Star 7. The winners are here, and we need to like be kinder with our. But come on, there was a weeks I had.
The fact that Vanjie, I think at least once in the episode, she mentioned this is for charity. Remember, for charity. I'm like, the more you mention it, I'm like, ugh. But
I know.
One thing that I will say is that like I feel vindicated as fuck because season 11 is one of my favorite seasons. I know that there's like a lot of dialogue about how season 11 is just like trash in a lot of people's eyes. But girl, the fact that we have 2/3 of season 11's cast that has been back, Plastique, Silky, Raja, Nina, Vanjie, Brooklyn is the host of fucking Canada's Drag Race, like
All-Star 7.
All-Star 7, like, girl, Scarlett, like, I'm just Akaria. I love it. I love it. I
think that I think that season 11 and season 7 fall into the same category, which is that the cast was actually stacked. Production just didn't know what to do to showcase them correctly.
Yeah.
And there is something to be said about when you come back and you know what to expect from being on a production, and you might have a little bit more agency to make yourself comfortable and demand that of yourself, which we know these queens do. I do think that there's something to be said about, I think it's Trixie that says like All-Stars is hard because everybody is rich and has confidence in the way that they didn't have the first time around. And I do think that there's something to be said with that. And I think that, I'm surprised we haven't seen more season 7 people before we've seen a lot of season 11. But don't get me wrong, season 11 cast has been turning it out in these casts.
There's one other format thing that I want to touch on, which is the blocking. Which when I first heard about again, they're playing for charity. So when I first heard about the blocking, I was like, that's kind of rude to essentially say like not your charity.
Right?
Yeah.
It doesn't even like it feels about the charity because they're playing, which is I was like, no.
I had that thought too.
Yeah. Can you imagine if somebody had gone up and been like, actually, I'm not snipping you. I'm snipping Trans Lifeline. Like, what the hell? Are you transphobic? Like,
fuck the Trevor Project.
Exactly.
Fuck mental illness.
Yeah, exactly. You're depressed. Why aren't you just happy?
Just be happy.
Yeah, just be happy. Just don't have anxiety.
Tough love will help you. You know what I mean? Like, what are you doing here?
So,
that's a good point, Liana. I hadn't even considered that, to be honest, but that makes so much sense.
Why are you doing that? But now once they kind of explained it, especially with Roxy as our sort of like case study. So Roxy gets blocked. Roxy still can go on to win the money for the charity. She just won't win a badge. So that still counts for the $20,000 at the end of the day for the ultimate winner. But at least like the charity will still get the $10,000, and the Drag Race team can't just like pocket that money and move on. So it ended up being okay, but it was pretty funny.
Just a small aside as a format thing with Roxy that I thought was funny was that at the end of if you guys watch Untucked, at the end of the first Untucked, when they're all getting changed for the lip sync and everything, she's like, but we don't even know who won yet. And I'm like, oh, that's your All Stars 2 kicking in, Roxy. Where everybody changed if they were in the top 2 to lip sync, but that was about it.
Yep.
So funny. I just had that moment. I was like, oh, I see you, Roxy. I see what you're thinking.
Yeah, it was funny. I feel like we got a lot of discourse about like which queens are going to change and if they should change, and like, oh, I told you should change. And then we have Nina just wearing the same dress, which I'm so curious now. I need her to be in the top just so I can find out like, what's under the dress. But anyway. Okay, let's actually get into these episodes, dig into the meat and potatoes. So kicking off the very first episode, we get a reading challenge right out the gate. And so, we do get a lot of really fun reads here. Roxy ends up our winner, but I think that there were a lot of really good ones, even though she definitely killed it. I think especially her read to Gottmik was particularly funny, which was your glow up or your transition has been amazing to Violet Chachki's assistant. And I think that that's where like because the queens now know each other so well that the reads end up being that much better because they can actually get into so much more about the queens themselves.
I loved that when we've seen Roxy on this show before, we're getting like an in-between version of herself. When she was on season 5, when she did the reading challenge, it wasn't reads, it was just super mean comments. And then All Stars 2 was like, Coco's old. So-and-so's whatever. I'm bored. And I'm like, okay, well, those aren't reads either. That's just you being like, because she was like so not wanting to be the bitch on the season. And now she's back as this like person that rightfully so is put on such a pedestal in the Drag Race community in a way that she's always been well respected, but she is, with so many younger queens having gone through now, she is so like the person you aspire to. So now she can come in with a little bit of agency and swagger and, have that pedestal, and have that, I'm going to look down my nose at you with like a wink on her face kind of thing. And I think that it's really fun to see a little bit of pageant Roxy mixed in with the warmness of All Stars 2 Roxy, but someone who's looking after herself Roxy. And I like that a lot with her. And that reading challenge to me was like a perfect example of it.
I am still reeling from Gottmik's read that was more of a read for RuPaul.
Oh my God, I know.
She called him black and shriveled. I was like,
yeah,
I don't think he got it either because he just laughed and he didn't have a reaction really.
I was like, oh my God.
Yes. Gottmik, this was to Vanjie. So it was about like Vanjie's drinking. And then it was like, your liver is 15 face tapes away from hosting Drag Race, which is, more of a read to Ru than anybody else. So.
And on top of that, I don't know if like, obviously she wouldn't have known this when they filmed it over the summer. But like RuPaul had a book that came out that openly addressed his alcoholism on this sobriety journey. And she's like, well,
I can't take it. I mean, well, like, look, if you are one of Ru's favorites, and we have quite a few of them on this season, we got Gottmik, we got Georges, we got Vanjie. Like, so if you are one of his favorites, you can get away with anything, it seems. So. I approve of her taking the license to go that far.
The Gottmik had another read for Angeria about never met anyone whose parents are more related than their teeth. That was also very funny.
So
but I did think before Roxy went, I did think Gottmik was going to win.
So did I.
On those two. So, but overall it was really fun. I enjoyed it, and it's always nice to start off with the reading challenge because the queens already know each other. It just gets the juices flowing.
Ice. In a way that's like, okay, now we can begin,
Yes.
I like that, Plastique had a few good ones in there. And in her confessional, she talked about, like, look, I have personality, guys. I'm not just the pretty face, which I appreciate because it shows that she's aware of, like, a lot of the conversation that was going on around her during season 11 and that she's leaning into it and trying to change that narrative. So I'm here for Plastique because I wasn't the biggest fan of her during season 11, but I was like, okay, girl, you're trying it. So I like that. I think this queen is great.
Yeah, I really want to know what production did to those queens to make them not be who they were in season 11. You got Raja, who was like such a different person than what we saw her on these other shows. We had Silky, like I don't know if it's just that they got on the show, watched themselves, realize, oh, these are things I need to work on, and are just the type of people to go, good, I'm going to work on them then. And considering I had thousands of fans tell me all of these things every single day, that's also encouraging and discouraging. But I don't know, like these season 11 queens are coming in and being like, okay, transformation time, let's go. And I'm living for it.
I live for it
Same.
too. Yep.
Same. Let's get into the Maxi challenge from episode 1. That is writing and performing to the song Drag Queens Save the World with their own verses. And then the queens all get to come up with their own, well, the team, I guess, comes up with their own choreo, aka Georges comes up with moves. And then they try to do them with their little apple picking moves. So let's go through, Aman, who is like a standout to you?
Oh, okay. I was just talking about her, and I know this is a little biased, but girl, I have talked about how I am a big Sailor Moon fan on this podcast several times.
Yep.
I have a little Sailor Venus figurine that I got for my birthday this year. Listen, when I tell you that when Plastique came out in that Sailor Star, I don't know, this is a little bit more of a obscure character, so just Google it. If y'all have to, the ones that are listening, the Sailor Starlight costume that Plastique came out in, whoa! I was like, girl!
It looks so good.
It looks so good. I was like, girl, you are giving. And Michelle said the same thing during the critique. She was like, you knew what the girls wanted. You gave the children what they wanted. And I was like, she did, bitch. I am fed, I am full, and I am here for seconds. Like, I loved it. I thought that, the choreography that she had getting carried in, swinging her ponytail was just like, it was immaculate.
Yeah, how could she get to be carried and nobody else?
I don't know. Cause I guess she's so fucking thin. I don't know.
I mean, Georges could have been thrown across the stage by one of them.
Could have been thrown.
You're like with studio, one hand. Here you go.
Was she always that tiny? Like,
yes.
I mean, it's hard to conceptualize how tiny she is until you put her next to someone like Nina West, and then you're like,
so tall.
whoa, who is so tall and just like a bigger figured person anyway. But then you have someone like Georges where you're like, you are a Polly Pocket.
Yeah, so she was definitely a standout for me, and I agree with the judges. I thought that Angeria's performance is also very, very strong. So yeah, those two for me were the ones that like stick out in my mind for sure.
I agree. I was actually really shocked that Plastique was not considered as one of the top people in the challenge, because she was the one whose entire performance, from the lyrics to how she was dancing, the energy she was giving, the faces that she was giving, was incredible. I really like, my eyes were just stuck on her the entire time. I felt like the thing that made Angeria's verse so impactful is that she starts off, this is the musician in me, but she starts off slow and singing so that you have to listen to her, with her words being like, please listen to me, I'm not the enemy. And I'm out here just trying to live my authenticity or something like that. And she says that slow and deliberately, and then she speeds it up and has fun with the rap. And I think that there's really something about that duality of being like, I can be serious and plead with you to really understand who we are and what we're trying to do, and then show you it. And I think that was what made her performance so incredible. I'm not mad at Georges being in the top, because I thought that she really did, like, I mean, if you're going to be the one who choreographs it, in the fact that all of them actually did pretty well with the there were a few people you could tell were kind of looking around and going, oh yeah, now we're doing this move. I was upset that there was no punching the ghost. If you're going to make Georges do choreography, I want to punch in the ghost action.
Yeah, I agree. Right? She should have opened with that. I agree.
But I do think that she had the energy, and her performance wise was really, really good. I don't know if I really cared about her lyrics that much comparatively.
Yeah.
Right. I think Angeria for me was the number one, also based on the vocals and the lyrics and the performance sort of in totality. I also had Plastique. She just captivated my
Yeah.
attention. And maybe it was the Sasha Colby like ponytail situation that was going on. Felt very inspired by that. And like her holding it out at the end when they all did their like pose thing together. I was like very obsessed with that. So she immediately stood out to me. I actually felt like the whole like sort of first group of queens, I thought really nailed it, like overall, and especially in terms of the lyrics. I felt like Gottmik and Nina West both had really strong lyrics. Nina's singing also obviously amazing, so that was very good as well. I just feel like Nina, obviously in the performance aspect, like maybe it didn't live up to some of the other queens that were there, but she also, I thought, did really well in this challenge.
I think we also have to remember that it's not that people with different body types can't dance well, but you have someone like Georges who is saying, let's do these moves, who's not a choreographer, and she tells you that too. And she's not thinking about, nor what I would be if I was a person who was competing in the show, thinking about, does this all work for everybody who's on the stage? Nina has never been somebody who's like, she's musical theater, but she's not she's a mover, not a dancer, right? So when you have somebody who is like her, she's there for the presence and the face and the acting portion. And you just get the sense sometimes that she was like, the choreography was like, just didn't fit her as a person. Like it had nothing to do with, did she know the choreography or not? It just felt like, here's Nina West who's doing Georges's choreography. It didn't, you know what I mean? Which didn't fit. In the same way that if Georges had to do something that like Nina did, like I don't know that Georges could serve the face and all that, like the comedy in the way that Nina can do it.
No, she can't.
So,
we know.
No, I love Georges. I thought when because I think Ross says it during this episode, or maybe it's the next episode. They're kind of blending together in my mind. About how he was confident that she's probably the best dancer that the show has ever seen. I think I'd have to agree. I mean, I during season 14, I was like, I think she has the best runway walk that we've seen on the show. It's just she's just so tiny and petite in the way that like her body just like glides. It's just so. I mean, we've seen mesmerizing queens on the show before. We just had Mirage, we've had Sasha Colby, but I think with like Georges, there's just like this. You just want to like pick her up. I don't know how to explain it. It's just like she's just a little something. She's a little something ball of energy. I don't know how to get it. It's just she's great.
I immediately was like, somewhere Brooklyn Heights is like, excuse me. I'm like a professional ballet dancer, and you're saying this girl who's never been to a dance class is one of the best dancers. No, I'm putting words in her mouth. She's never said that, but that is something that I was watching, and I was like, maybe we can say that she's one of the best like dance performers, but I wouldn't say she's one of the best dancers.
You know what? They should have a special where it's just like all not a whole season, maybe like 3-episode special. All lip sync assassins, all extremely talented ass dancers. It's just nothing but a Lollapalooza the whole fucking time. And I want to see like who is the
Alyssa,
assassin of
Laganja,
like
Evie, Brooklyn, Georges. Like that would be incredible.
Every single damn bitch that
Coco.
You're like is undefeatable. I want to see them go at it. That's what I want to see.
Yeah, we need a March Madness bracket, like genuine tournament for this.
Okay,
like,
there's got to be a drag version of March Madness that we can come in there.
Listen,
June something and make it a pride thing. Like,
yes, exactly. You can do it before you start
June Jambalaya.
The June Jambalaya Jamboree.
I meant to say Jamboree, but then I was going to say there's a Jambalaya, and I was like, wait, that is, as I was saying, I was like, that's
Shout
a
out
queen.
To June.
Yeah,
love you, girl.
It's chocolate.
Oh my gosh, it's just chocolate. I think so in terms of just quickly touching on some of the other queens, so Chanel, I love the first one in line, first one in on the real OG. I think that's so important to remember, and it was I mean, I remember I've watched season 1. I can't even tell you how many times, because it was the only season that existed when I discovered the show. So I just watched it over and over and over again because I was so obsessed with it. And I just thinking back about what that season was like and how how much Drag Race itself has changed, how much drag has changed, how much the perception of drag has changed. Like, it's such a gag to me. So I'm so happy that she acknowledged that, mentioned that, because that's so important to remember where we came from in terms of the history of the show. And then Roxy nails it. I mean, I think she also had really great verse. And then I think you're really sort of splitting some of the details when it comes to the performance aspect of it, which I think for me, Angeria, Georges, Plastique, those are the ones that kind of like elevated to the top for me.
Yeah, for sure.
Agreed.
For sure.
Faux show.
Faux show.
So also, how could we forget? We get a Hustle the Cat Rue performance in here as well. It's not just the queens that are performing. We get Rue going at it.
I have to say, I love that dress though that she was wearing. That pink, like, structured mini dress. It was so good.
It was pretty as fuck. I agree.
I
also enjoyed sorry,
go ahead.
I was gonna say I also really enjoyed Kiki Palmer as the guest judge.
Oh,
It's
yes.
a long time overdue. She should have been there a long time ago, but I'm glad she's here now. She was great. She was engaging. She had notes. She was fantastic. I loved it.
For sure. I was gonna say, when it's turning into what I get, like, I'm so shocked that RuPaul is not a Leo, because the amount of times that it's like the show isn't about RuPaul, but it is, right? And like there are times, like, it reminds me of like those like more like 40s, 50s, 60s parties where people would have their friends over and they'd gather like around a piano or something, and like somebody would like literally sing, and everybody would like whatever the like show tunes were of the time or whatever, right?
Okay.
It reminds me of being like, everyone gather around here at my house and listen to me sing some show tunes now. Like, it's kind of like that kind of thing that I get that
vibe. Of it all.
Exactly. And it's so funny to me that like RuPaul's like, you know what? I'm nowhere near as good as a lip sync artist as any of the people who are on the stage, but you're gonna all pretend like I am.
That's not gonna stop
to
me,
an
bitch.
audience of 3 people and some cameramen who are going to like go crazy for me, and everybody at home is gonna go, okay, I guess now's when I can go take a bathroom break and get ready for the runway. Like, what? I love RuPaul and what RuPaul has done, but there are times where I'm like, girl, what are we doing here? Can we just get
I'll
to
let
the
her
runway?
have it. I'll let her have it.
Yeah.
Just keep delivering the Bob Scroll. Speaking of which, did y'all
For
see that video of her not fucking knowing the words to fucking...
Oh my God. The
what?
karaoke one, the blind karaoke one. Oh my God. It was
seen this
so funny.
No!
Beth, yeah, you have to. Okay. I saw it on TikTok.
On TikTok. She's basically just doing some blind karaoke. And the last song that comes up is Sissy That Walk, and she knows nothing.
It's so good.
That's amazing. And you know the best part about that is that like contemporaries, like Lady Bunny, for example, has done nothing but play Sissy That Walk since 2014, because that's what everybody asks her to play. And so you have people like the own damn artist doesn't even remember her song. But yeah, everybody else in the world does. That's hysterical.
It's great.
Yeah.
I could not. I watched it like 4 times in a row. I couldn't take it.
Yeah.
I don't remember when this interview came out, but it was somewhat recent. Did you guys see that Monet exchanged when I think she was a guest on the Pit Stop or something like that? She was talking to Trixie and she said, I thought I won All-Star 7 because when RuPaul couldn't remember Jinx's name, I was like, bitch, I got it. There's no way she's not going to remember the person she's going to crown for the winners of all winners, you know? And, and I kind of live, because I'd do the same thing if I were Monet. I'd be like, oh, she doesn't even remember her name. I clearly won.
Nope, that's just a Ru thing. It's cool. It's chill.
RuPaul doesn't remember his best friend's kids' names.
Yeah,
so,
exactly.
You know, but could tell you exactly what kind of drug he was on in the 80s on this one particular night. Oh, I love you, RuPaul.
Okay, let's quickly go through the runways. So I have the runways. So we can just quickly give a toot or boot. So this was signature look, signature fragrance, which I actually thought was very interesting because it was almost like a branding challenge folded into a runway.
I literally was like, why isn't this a main challenge?
Yeah, that's what I thought too. It was like, okay, did they just run out of idea? I don't know. They were going to use it and then they had too many ideas. I don't know. Anyway, so yeah, Gottmik with Crash. That was her signature look and signature fragrance. Aman, toot, boot, shoot?
I want to give it a boot, but I won't. I'm gonna give it a toot. It's like I need a little something more from it, but it's not ugly by any means, so I will give it a toot.
Mm-hmm. I'm totally same wavelength.
I'm a toot for this. I don't think it's amazing. It's nowhere near a shoot level for me, but I think that the stage lights just make it a little hard to see all the details. So I'm gonna say it's a toot.
Yeah, that's the problem with the black, right? You just can't see it the way.
And that big chain covering up everything too, right?
Very cool. Yeah, like she's a ship.
Yeah,
a big old ship tied to the dock. Okay, Nina, criminal, ties in the classic, not orange jumpsuit, but the black and white striped jumpsuit in. I feel she had a really fun voiceover. I didn't write it down, but I remember thinking that was fun.
I'll give it a toot. It's kind of reminding me a little bit of Telephone from Lady Gaga. Y'all know that's my that's my zenith. So I'll give it a shoot, or a toot rather.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna give it a 2. I like that she made herself look like the perfume bottle. I think that was cool.
Same. Yeah, toot. And also, like, sorry, but the bar is in hell for Nina for me. So like
no, I mean that's a fair point.
So this silhouette, I love the bottom of this.
I love her makeup. Too.
Stunning. Yeah, her makeup looks great too. Yeah, this is definitely this toot. Oh my god, this is a shoot. Plastique tiara. I want those wings so bad. I don't know where I'm gonna wear them. I don't know what I'm gonna do with them. I'm sure they cost $1 gajillion. I want them so bad. Shoot.
I don't know. I don't. The money, the money, the grandeur, the grandiosity, the everything. And I was like, I watched her come down this runway like 10 times, and I was trying to figure out like the mechanism, like because usually it's like, you know, you can see like them like pulling something or pressing something. I couldn't. It was so seamless. I couldn't figure out like what the stage magic was, and it just looked so good. Like it just fuck plastique. Honestly,
yeah.
She has one hell of a nerve coming on this stage and blowing our minds like this. Like, what the hell? This was absolutely incredible. I loved it. I love that when the wings were folded down, it looked like some cool regal structured jacket as well. Like, shut up. If you're going to do wings, you got to be better than Courtney Act. And this was Courtney Act on drugs. Yeah. Like this was incredible. This was incredible.
There was even a part where like they like retracted real quick, fluttered, and then came back out. I was like, what is going on? Like,
I have a sneaking suspicion that it was a timer that did the same kind of thing over and over, and she practiced the crap out of the timing.
That is even more impressive. Jesus
I would imagine.
Yeah, and especially the fact that there's like 2 layers of wings that both move independently from one another. Like that was even the extra gag on top of all the gags that I was gagging. Obsessed. I can't get over it. I'm
mad at her. How good this is.
Yes,
it's so annoying. It's annoying. I'm like, get the fuck out of here.
I hate that. I can't believe that. That's so rude. Okay, Angeria. Oh, and Fantastique was her. That whatever. She's amazing. Fine. Okay, Angeria, Le Southern Belle, and I love the twist on this. Like this could have been so much more basic, but the fact I think she elevated it like with the sheer, so you just see essentially the boning. Like that was very cute.
I love it. I love that I love that it's an actual bell. I love that the dress is also bell shaped. I love the part where she's like, "It's all for the sensible price of your EBT card." I was like, "Yes, honey." So I thought this was great and just the quintessential Angeria or Angie. It seems like she's going by Angie these days.
She goes by both. I think it's incredible. Well, I think that it's just easier to say Angie.
All I could think of was Miss Angie.
Miss Angie. Vangeria, if they ever got together. No, this was incredible. I love this as a standalone look, let alone having the perfume bottle and then the voiceover on top of it. Like having all of that solidified for me that she was definitely one of the top 2.
I agree completely. Okay, Vanjie's... I don't really get it's a perfume, so Toxica, right? But then it's like, so we don't want to smell it. Like if this is a branding challenge, she's last, right?
Yeah, I love Vanjie. I do. And like when I heard that she was coming back, like I am unabashedly rooting for Vanjie. I would love for her to take a crown home. I just think that would just be so great. It just like would fit my French vanilla fantasy. But when it comes to some of the concepts that she comes up with, it just doesn't. Vanjie, I love you, but it's not landing the way that it should. And even with this look too, like when you have so many opulent ass looks coming out around that runway, and then you have something like this, it just reminds me so much of like the critiques that she was getting in season 11, where it was corset, 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 corset. And this isn't a corset exactly, but it's not exactly, you know, it's not packing the punch that I would love for it to. And but Michelle said during the judging, she was like, look, this was what was in Vanjie's head, and she sold it the way that she was going to sell it, and we just have to accept that. And I was like, you know what, you're right. But I just wish that it wasn't always like that. I wish that there was like, I want Vanjie to be opulent all the time, So
I think I was really shocked that she was in the conversation for the top, given both this runway and her performance. Not because I don't think she did a great job in the performance, but I felt like others were stronger. And then if you're going to use the runway as almost like this is like a tiebreaker, I genuinely felt like this was the worst runway. I felt like it's an interesting dress, but it's something that I expect I could see somebody wear at a club. I don't think like it's like over the top. I think the hair is different, and then I think that's kind of cool. But then she had the mask on most of the time, and then the thigh high boots are seen that. You know what I mean? So I kind of, and like the bottle is just like a bottle. Like I don't know.
Yeah.
I was pretty underwhelmed with this, unfortunately. But again, I'm never underwhelmed by Vanjie as a person, a drag performer.
Right.
100%. Okay, Georges is up next with Lil Chiquita. And feels, I mean, look, if you're going to talk about signature look, signature fragrance, this definitely feels like signature Georges.
Very much so.
Toot, toot, toot.
Yeah, toot for that. Oh, it was a boot for Vanjie, by the way. My only critique about this is that I wish that she had revealed the actual dress a little bit sooner, because I feel like the feathery boa type thing kind of swallows her up because she is so small. So I just wish that she had taken that off, like maybe like a little bit sooner towards the top, as she was revealing the bottle and everything. But other than that, yeah, Lil Chiquita. I mean, yes, very much, Georges.
Toot. We also have Chanel with Chanel #1. Again, another callback. I love that too from her. I love the silhouette with this. This is a toot for me. The shoulder pads, the opulence, the sort of like very old school drag. I just think it's really stunning.
I agree. Also a toot. I do love that she also looks like her bottle. It's giving branding, honey. She knows what she's doing.
I'm really torn because obviously Plastiques was a shoot, even though I didn't say that, but I'm saying it now. I'm really tempted to give her a shoot because I love this. And this is, when I think of Chanel, this is what I think of. It's either this or her ass has got to be out. It's one of the two. And this, to me, she is one of the best of the older pageant drag that we were first introduced to with Drag Race. I know they spent some time talking about it. I'm going to give her a shoot. I think this is incredible.
Okay.
Yeah, that's fair. And finally, we have Roxy. Roxy's Never Sent Home fragrance.
That was so
her
funny.
Voiceover. Oh my God, so funny. Such like, it's been a long time since I've watched All Stars 2, but I was just like immediately taken back to the discourse about Roxy in season 2, and oh my gosh, the sequin top, all of that together
for the low price of one rhinestone tank top. Yeah. That literally, I paused and I cackled. It was so good.
So funny. Yeah. Look, it's not exactly maybe my favorite look in terms of the dress, very Elsa coded. But that being said, the voiceover and the perfume name, like that did it for me enough.
That's kind of what was. That sold it for me, was just the voiceover, the tongue-in-cheekness of it all. I think that the garment does look a little costumey, especially for someone like Roxy Andrews. And I love that a blue dress like we no longer think of Cinderella as the premier blue dress Disney princess. It's now Elsa. I
Right.
kind of love that. But yeah, it's it definitely not her best, but her commentary sold it for sure.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna be the person. I'm gonna boot the look. I'm not a
No,
fan.
I'll join
of,
you. I'll join you.
Yeah, I'll
I'm-
join you as
I'm
well.
only if this was a regular season to be a 2, but this is All Stars. It's her 3rd time on the show. We've seen so much better that she's constructed, and then she will in the next episode. And I honestly, I don't know what it is, but I think it might just be the nude lip. I'm not a big fan of the makeup that she has either. And normally she has one of the best paints that I like. So I felt like the hair was a little flat. I don't know. I just felt like there were enough little things that I expect with
Maybe blue's not her color.
which very well could be it. We know that red and black and those kind of things are. And I liked seeing Roxy in blue. I just didn't like this particular dress on her, and I felt like the details of the hair and makeup were a little lacking.
I think it's too color tone, or too cool tone for her. I think it needs to be a
fair.
warm blue
Yeah.
for her. It kind of washes her out, and then also with the nude lip combined, I think that's probably part of the reason why she like the dress. You see the dress before you see her,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
And also when it's not the most amazing dress, maybe that's not what you want to see first. So yeah, I think there's just a few those like little details, but again, like it's Roxy.
She's still gonna make it clear. So
You
we're
can't
good.
read the doll. I love that Empress line.
She's so good.
Okay, so those are looks from episode 1. Angeria and Georges, of course, are our top 2 who lip sync for the win. $1 Million Bill, Whitney Houston, the remix version. And I mean, I think both of them performed the house down, but Angeria for me was also the clear winner. I feel like she just embodied the song a bit more, whereas Georges was like bouncing around all over the stage, having a good time. But Angeria to me really connected with the song Aman.
Yeah, I agree too. I think that she just she really knew what moments and what pockets to like really sink into in the song. And Georges always is going to be a fantastic dancer, but not every song is a dancing song. Like you need to emote a little bit more, and I think that Angeria definitely gave us that a little bit more this time.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. It's nowhere near the level of Kenya Michaels, but it gave a little Kenya Michaels dancing all over the place vibes when, but I mean, Georges.
She really thought, I was like, what are you doing, girl? I'll never get over it.
But what I liked about that is that, like, the reason why I really started thinking that is right before they start talking about or right before the lip sync, Angeria says, "I'm going to give you Park and Bark," which she certainly did not. She was all over that stage too. But the way that she did the Park and Bark was really that you wanted to follow where Angeria was going because she captured your attention through making you feel like she was the one actually singing it and capturing the emotion of the song and also having a little bit of comedic fun with it as well. Whereas Georges just felt like she was just dancing, which is fine.
I'll give it
I
to
dance
her
a lot
now.
to Whitney Houston. So
I'm still kind of mad about Telephone, but we'll see what happens for the rest of the
Never forgive, but never forget. Okay.
Never forget.
Never forget. All right. So Angeria wins. And as we mentioned, blocks Roxy. Beth, do you think that this was the right move for her?
yes. If I were there, it would have been Gottmik or Roxy. And I honestly, I think I probably would have gone for Gottmik myself, but I'm not mad at anybody blocking Roxy. I think that she's the one that has been there the most. It has made it to the finals both times she's been on the show.
Yeah.
Block the bitch. And she knows that.
No, I agree.
Yeah.
I thought that was probably the best move, either her or Gottmik, because you're like they know the show, they know the format, they know that okay, we did the talent show or the group lip sync. We're probably going to get a design challenge or a comedy challenge. It's a bit of a gamble, but she gambled correctly because as we'll see, it is design challenge next. So hey.
Yeah, perfect. Well, let's talk about that design challenge. Obviously, no one sent home. We've
What?
I know, right? Oh my God, I couldn't believe it. So let's talk about the ball. We are thrown a ball for episode 2. It's the paint ball, which I thought was very cute and clever. I love that. So 3 looks: monochromatica, drag imitates art, and paint ball eleganza, which has to be a hand painted and then also sewn garment, which I think is, of course, an extra challenge because not only are you having to actually craft and construct the garment, but you are also having to paint it. And we can see how that impacts, depending on the way that you choose to paint it, how that sort of impacts your final product. So I have all of the looks picked up. We're going to go through, talk about them all. Is there anything else that either of you would like to say before we start going through the looks themselves?
I just want to say I was really excited that Keke Palmer went through everybody's signs with them and that there's so many Leos on this cast. Just saying, great job. I think that's honestly, this is why the cast is so good. There's so many Leos.
Yeah.
Yeah, sure, Beth.
That is why.
Yeah, we'll go with that for sure.
Says the 2 Pisces in here. Okay, fine.
Yeah, that's right. You're outnumbered, so you
Yeah.
better watch what you
Oh,
say.
believe
'cause
me.
Get your
the
fire
water
ass out of here.
signs-
Listen,
Yeah.
I'm ruled by the sun. You can't make me go away for more than 12 hours or whatever. So
We have the ocean, bitch.
And the moon, honey. The moon.
The moon's ours. Okay, let's get into all of these looks. So again, monochromatica, so an outfit that's essentially one color. The drag imitates art, which at first I didn't know what it was, but I loved it when we actually got into the seeing all the looks.
Me too.
And then of course the paintball eleganza. Okay, I'm just gonna come out and say the fact that this is Angeria's, her looks, her monochromatic look, and also her hand-painted look ended up being very, very similar in color. Of course, not exactly the same color, but very similar in color, which I thought was a choice, Beth.
Why? Why wouldn't she just go for a different color when she had all the paint colors in the world? It's not like they were assigned colors or something, right?
Right.
That was interesting to me. And I'm also going to be honest, until I just looked at the photo that's on the right and the bottom, I never saw the ombre effect she was talking about. And so I was like, thank God Drag Looks on Instagram got that photo, because I literally adjusted the screen brightness multiple times on my phone when I was on the train watching this, and I could not for the life of me figure out what ombre they were talking about. And then I would see photos of like her in the first one. I was like, oh yeah, I can't believe she constructed that. And then I was like, oh wait, no, that's not the one she constructed. I'm just very confused why she didn't go for like purple or like orange at the very least, if you want to do something related, but that's different enough. I don't know.
Yeah, I think my favorite look out of all three for her is definitely the drag imitates art one. I don't know. I think the first one, I guess I just don't like the color, which I'm allowing myself to critique because that was the whole point of the runway. And the second one, yeah, you know, it's so much like the first that I'm like, what's going on? So not the strongest showing for her, but obviously she looks, they all look great. But I do love the hair. I do love the Ursula-esque hair for the first look. That was a lot of fun for me.
Yes. Yeah, I think it's tough because like, I made the critique, obviously we're talking about the color of the dress, but in general, like all three of these I think are absolutely stunning. So it's just like you had the option to pick a different color. Why didn't you pick a different color is more like my frustration. But then I actually look at the garment itself. Let me put the color aside, and it's stunning with the big puffy sleeves. I love the silhouette. Like, I think it's really stunning. She made this right. And then the Mondrian always is going to be a classic go-to if you want to pick a famous artist. That's something that's that color blocking is so iconic. And I agree with them on like the wig in the first one, but even just in addition, the whole look itself, the boot covers and everything going all the way down to the floor, I think is absolutely beautiful. So even with those little critiques, it's
I'm going to be the person to say this too. I did not like when people were doing a monochromatic look and didn't include the wig as a part of it. So I actually have been I don't like the wig because I don't think it's the right color. It should be the same color as the dress. And there were queens that did do the same color or did like almost like a balayage or an ombre with their hair. And I will give them half credit for that. But I want monochromatic. I don't want another color. I want everything to be the same color if it's monochromatic. That's how I feel.
I was swayed by Disney.
Again. But Aman already knows this from Twitter, but I'm also not like the biggest Ariel fan. I love
Which
Ursula.
is some bullshit.
I also did agree with RuPaul that I felt like the second look was a little basic, like that it was so on the nose that wasn't like really dragged up in a way, and I definitely agree with that, but that doesn't mean it doesn't look good, so I'm just saying that.
Yeah, that's fair. Especially when you look at the other two by comparison with like how voluminous they are, right? And then
Right.
so I
Exactly.
understand that.
Mm-hmm.
Let's talk about Chanel is
Got
next.
Chanel.
Got Chanel. Yes, love her. So Chanel with her looks, I will have to, so I would not have put her in the top.
Agreed.
However, I think that's like, am I about to eat my words? But I actually really loved what she created. The way that she was able to do all of the color transitions with the ombre and also all of that like crazy structure. And she doesn't even, her paint almost doesn't even look like her. She looks like Morgan McMichaels, maybe. I don't know what
I
I'm
can see
seeing.
that,
The
yeah.
face just looks so different, and I'm really impressed with that, the transformation. So for me, I did really like it. When I first saw it in the workroom, I thought, oh my gosh, maybe she'll be in the top. But I do think that there was some other looks that probably outperformed her, Beth. But I do still think it was a strong showing from Chanel here.
I agree. I mean, Chanel has never done a construction challenge the way that we have construction challenges on the show, right? And so this was just fun to see her come out and see like what is she going to do? And of course, she does exactly what a lot of queens for a lot of seasons were going to do, which is like let's do a bodysuit. But she is Chanel and she's not just any other queen. And I like that Michelle was able to say, "Hey, it's a bodysuit, but here's what you did incredibly well with it." And I agreed with that. I would not have put her in the top either. But I'm not mad at it. And also, can we just get into the fact her legs? Now, I know I shouldn't say this, but she's 44 and those legs, they look 25. Like,
She better.
incredible.
She better.
But I do think
peg leg.
No peg leg, baby. I don't think my legs have looked ever like that in an incredible way, but she's just so beautiful, and I agree with you with the paint too. She has a way of painting her face where there are times where I go, "Up, that's Chanel," and other times I go, "Who is that?" And I can't and I won't know. And I think that is actually a true talent. She really can be quite versatile, and she knows different shapes that work on her face. And I think she's just an incredible makeup artist.
I would not have been mad if she was in the top. You know, she is giving me all of my Japanese sensibilities with the Hakusai inspiration. That wave dress, oh my god, and even with the hair, the wig for that look,
it was cool.
It's so good, so good. I did agree with Michelle that for the second one, it did seem a little bit claustrophobic at the top. I think that she could have opened that up a little bit more, but not a bad showing from Chanel at all. She did a great job.
Can I
on
ask
the
what
wig,
the?
Beth?
Oh yeah.
Oh, on the monochromatic look. Does this is like the ombre effect? Is this okay for you?
It's better, but why does it need to be an ombre? If it had just been all pink, I would have been happier. But this is I mean, I just generally think like she's either going to give you pageant showgirl or she's going to give you something really edgy, and I like that. The one thing I didn't really understand with the drag imitates art. What was it?
Yeah.
Yeah, for the category. Yeah,
Yeah.
drag imitates art.
Why are we? What was the brown paper looking?
I was thinking, yeah, I was like, I guess that's like the beach
that
or
like
the sand or something. I don't
There's
know.
like boats. There's boats in the. So if the okay, so wait, hold on. Let me open up the. Okay, so this is her reference, right? So I think that the boat she's trying to do the boat
Okay.
for the way, but I will say they did look bigger, right? Than the so proportionally, maybe they're not.
proportionizing.
Yeah, it looks it does look a little like a mistake.
It looks like it was like, oh, we made the waves out of cardboard and then we left some of it on there. And I was like, what? Like, but that was, or I was trying to figure out, like, is it like in a famous frame too? Like, is the frame something? That's what I was trying to figure out, but I don't know.
Yeah,
it's again, it's nitpicking it at that stage. We have Miss Roxy Andrews to talk about next. Now, this, Beth, talk about a wig that matches the outfit.
Okay, thank you. Yes, monochromatic, done. Outfit, hate. So now we're just on the opposite side of this. Everybody would like. This is where I felt like the judges were too nice. They were like, "Oh," and when you winked through the thing, I was like, "You couldn't see it because there was a huge shadow of like the thing in her face." Like there, I did not care for this. She's had so many better red runway moments, and this just I felt like, meh. But
Yeah,
my God, the other two looks were good.
I wasn't sure about the first one either. It did feel a little like I feel like I kind of understood what she was going for. I just don't know if it was executed the best way. The lines just felt a little scatterbrained a little bit. You know what I mean? Like, oh, let me just put this rope hair here. Let me put that here. Let me put this here. Like, it just didn't feel cohesive enough. I actually was not as big of a fan as the judges seem to be of the constructed one either. Not that it's, again, I always say this, my disclaimer, I don't know what the fuck I'm doing in terms of sewing. I could never make any of this shit. I just want to say that right now. But I was like, oh, I mean, it's fine. It's a pantsuit with a cape. Like, I'm okay, I guess. But I did love the drag imitates art. I think the drag imitates art was probably my favorite out of almost all of their looks. Yeah, I think obviously not a bad show, and they're all beautiful, but yeah, I was like, I don't know, like for her to be the seamstress of the season, I was like, I don't know. I think people might have outsold you here, sis. In my opinion.
Yeah.
I also really love the Salvador Dali look. I thought that was really fun. And to have the little detail of the mustache too is like, ugh, we love that attention to detail. I think it's so cute. I'm kind of in between on the constructed look. For me, I felt like the ombre didn't quite work. Like it felt a little bit too blocky and not as ombre as we want the ombre to ombre. That being said, I think the pair with the bob, the hint of red right at the bust line, and then the red lip,
and the red eyebrows.
Yes, exactly. That top picture like that I think looks absolutely stunning. But I do agree that the coat's supposed to be oversized. I get that. It does just swallow her up a little bit, but when she opens it up and walks with it, I think the actual silhouette and construction of the garment I think is really pretty. It's some of the ombre aspect that I just don't think 100% blended all the way.
Yeah, I agree. I think that the ombre on the inside of the coat is great. The little bit of ombre with the like block, great. When you make most of the outfit that she's wearing black, and then it's just like a really weird, almost diagonal ombre, that's where it's kind of losing me, where it goes a little lower on one leg than it does the other, and the ombre all of a sudden just kind of stops and it's white. I don't feel like we get this like gradual change into the white, which I think is, I gotta say for the record, I imagine is very hard to do because you're dealing with white and black, the absence of color essentially, and then trying to make gray work. But I don't know if they had white paint for the white material they were looking at, and obviously white would have made that a lot easier to mix certain things and then paint it on. I have no idea what they were given. So if they were not given white, I think she did what she could with this and it looks great. But I do agree that it almost has like, if she was going for more of that Gottmik punk feel, then she nailed it. But I don't think that's what she was going for. So therefore, I don't think it worked as well. But that said, the construction was incredible.
Yeah. Gottmik is up next. So I think, the drag imitates art. Oh my gosh. She also posted this on Instagram after the fact, and there's a close-up of the way that the like headpiece she had transitioned into her face, the jewels on her face, and it looks so seamless. I had to like zoom to like see where that cut was, Aman, because it was just so well done.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not as like artsy fartsy as Gottmik is, and I probably will never be. So sometimes I don't always like understand like where her brain is going with some of these looks. But baby, man, that drag imitates art look is just fantastic. And you can see how heavy that shit is. It looks heavy. It just looks expensive. It looks amazing. And like you're right, like the seamless connection into her head, just great. And I think also like the reason why I'm maybe like a little bit more down on the Roxy Andrews look is because their constructed looks are so similar that I'm definitely more of a fan of Got Mixed. Like that headpiece, whatever that is, I don't even know what you would call what's on her head. It's giving me like Star Wars Padme Amidala meets like punk rock. Like it's like hitting a bunch of like pressure points for me that I'm like, bitch, go to hell. Like I love it. I love the whole thing. And of course the first one is like the first one I was like the least impressed with, even though it looks so great. I don't know, something about her just saying like, and I kind of felt the same way about Carrie Colby during season 14 when they were talking about like, oh, this is the actual look from said designer. I'm like, okay, girl, fine, whatever. Like you have connections, good for you. But it still obviously looks fantastic.
That's how I feel too, Aman, where I was like, she first came around the corner and I was like, oh my God, this is incredible for monochromatic. This is incredible. Then she's like, this is straight from the runway. And I was like, don't get me wrong, that's impressive, obviously. And like I've never won anything straight from the runway.
Neither have I.
I mean, this came from the St. Lawrence University bookstore. So I know. Hey. But I do think that when it's not something you have personally helped design, come up with the idea of, construct, there is something to that I do find. Like even like with we were rooting for you. What's her name? I forgot her name. Kimora Hall.
Kimora Hall, yeah.
Her coming out in the Bob Mackie, like as much as I want to be like, hell yeah, Bob Mackie, you know, what a queer fashion designer icon, like amazing. I'm also like, cool. So you just secured a really good gown. So I kind of felt like that a little bit too with Gottmik, but considering just like how incredibly epic her second look is, and then the constructed look, I just thought was incredible. There were lots. I do not think that she should have won the ball in season 13. I've said that for the past few years. I felt like I didn't really get it, although it's probably not for me anyway. But this I felt like was a more like justified win, and it was similar in the kind of style she was going for with that, like ropes and
flags. She
flags.
those like triangle things, right? That was
she loves a triangle and like a satin rope or whatever. What am I trying to say? Not rope, not thread, shoelace, whatever.
Well, I think also having seen it when she was painting it outside to then seeing it draped on her body when she was like, yeah, well, it's gonna look better when it's like draped. And I was like, oh yeah, you were right. I second guessed you for a second, but you did. You pulled it off, and it does look so much better when she actually like shapes it and puts it on her body.
For sure.
Let's talk about Nina West. Okay. So I think easily the worst constructed look. She was laughing at herself, which I appreciate. And that's all I'm gonna say about that look.
My favorite part about this is she gets on the stage and she's trying to be incredibly nice, and she says, Roxy really helped me with this. And all I could sit back and think to myself was, A, Roxy's either got to be thinking, bitch, get my name out of your mouth when you're presenting this on the runway, or it's like, Roxy is a shady ass bitch for telling you this look good. Like, but then I loved how Roxy was like, I didn't construct anybody's look here, because I felt like that was like her in Untucked, but which is true. She was trying to say like, you all built everything, I just helped you here and there or whatever. But I also like that in my own fantasy, what she was really saying was, bitch, do not give me any credit for what you just put together.
Yeah.
But what I do like about it is she's kind of one of the poster children of drag for like doing outreach with children, like, and so I kind of like that this is playful. She's written children's books, she's done the reading time in the library. I mean, obviously she's been in Hairspray, which typically has a younger audience who are coming to see it. Like, I really think that a lot of her drag is supposed to be more accessible to children, and I think most kids would look at that and think it's a lot of fun. So
yeah, totally,
I'm here for that. I love her monochromatic look. That's like one of the best she's ever looked on the runway. I love how I don't know if I understand the like up and down of the little reveal thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The
I
little
thought that was
tissue.
weird.
A little flat, little flat.
A little flat. But I really, this is such an interesting shape and pattern, and because of the her own kind of like build, I think it works really well on her in a way it wouldn't work on other people. And I think that she was really smart to do something like that. And then I love again like her. While I may not like the construction of her drag imitates art look, I do love the reference, and I love that what she's trying to do is educate and use her platform here, and I love that.
Yeah, to do the Tom of Finland look. Yeah, I
Yes.
agree with that. I think that was so good. And her monochromatic one actually might be one of my favorites. I love that big ass hat. Don't really get 100% understand the tissue. Like, part of me, I feel like I either hate the tissue or I absolutely love the tissue, and I'm like completely torn between whether or not I like get it or not. And I'm like, maybe I'm just not like
I'm like
elevated
right in
enough
the
to get
middle.
it.
Like, I don't know if it's like referencing something specific that we haven't seen before. I don't know. I think that's a good point though, Beth, about like how her looks can be a little bit more muted, only because I do think that she does aim for like a lot of relatability. There's like not a lot of edge when it comes to Nina West, which, you know, is fine. Like, not every drag queen has to be, you know, pushing an envelope, but I do think that when you know, when you're comparing it to some of her sisters, it's like I'm left for one thing a little bit. I do love the hair for the constructed look though. I love that
too.
like
Same.
cartoon, like comic book type design. I love shit like that. So that definitely got points with me for sure.
I agree.
There's a part of me that wonders if like the little veil thing that goes up and down of her look, like, is it supposed to be kind of like, not that this is what happens, but like, is it supposed to be kind of like a clitoris?
Oh.
You got like the pink clitoral hood hat, and then, you know, I don't know. I just like clits are not like square.
Woo!
But I don't know.
I feel like I don't
what I
have
got when I looked
license
at
for
it.
this conversation.
Sounds like I do not have the personal or professional experience. You know, it's funny because actually now looking at the shape of the hat, like now I can see it.
It's
but
a clitoral hood. That's all I'm saying.
It is not where my brain went the first time I saw it. So I don't know.
To be fair, I came up with that here. So this was about the third time I've seen it, and all of a sudden it came to me. So
yeah. All right. Well, let's move from the clitoris to Vanjie, I guess. It's not a very good transition. All right, Beth, let her have it.
Okay. Whereas Nina's constructed look was the worst, I felt like Vanjie's overall like showcase was the weakest of everybody's. I do think her constructed look is probably her strongest look. I love the Michelle Visage homage, and I do not like that she had all the details and she did it in the green dress and everything. I love that her hair, like the Visage hair, looks good on her. But it's a minty dress. It's okay. And then her other look, I absolutely, if you told me that was based on Van Gogh, I would never have understood. I agree with Stephanie Shoes saying that like it should have been like various different tones of blue, because that's like what you think of when you think of Starry Night. And I like the little moon on the fascinator, like that's fine. But I didn't get that as like a drag imitates art. That just was like, I have something that's yellow on a blue little fluffy thing. But I did really like her dress. I like that. At first I was like, oh, I kind of think that it looks like really poorly drawn. But then I was also like, it's really actually not poorly drawn. And I actually love that about it. I like that it looks like a little faded and vintage and put together and that kind of thing. I think that's what actually makes her dress look really, really good. I don't know if I like the rolled one shoulder thing, but her hair covers it well, so therefore it's fine. But I thought that, I mean, Vanjie does look just so beautiful this season. She
looks so pretty. And talk about legs, stunning.
I think my favorite look is probably the Michelle Visage, the Visage homage. I do think that the Starry Night, I don't get Starry Night from that at all. Like if I were to see that by itself, I'd be like, I have no idea what that's supposed to be. And again, I just think that Vanjie, as much as we love her, I think that when it comes to her fashion, it just doesn't go far enough a lot of the time. And then one week she'll have one where it's like, oh yes, bitch, that's a zinger. And then the next week it's like back to the same. So I'm hoping that maybe these first 2 episodes were just off weeks and that we're about to get so much more from her. Because we love Angie. She's just great. I'm rooting for her. I want to see her win so bad. But girl, like I need these runways you have got to kick it up. You have to.
Yeah.
You have to.
Yeah, the art look. All I could think about for some reason was Cookie Monster, like 8 Big Birds. That was all I could think of. The blue and the yellow fluff. That was all my brain could comprehend, and I couldn't let that go. So
I kind of live. That's honestly, if it had been Muppet inspired, I would have been here for that.
Yeah. So maybe she should have saved that for a different prompt.
Vanjie kind of does sound like Cookie Monster too.
Right?
Yeah, Cookie Monster.
I got
gargles.
for Vanjie, bitch. C is for Cookie. It's good enough for me.
Game. If she should do Cookie Monster for Snatch Game, I think she might win.
It's a fictional character, so she couldn't do it. But like, she would have
Cookie
to
Monster
do, like,
gargling chainsaws. That's what she sounds like.
Oh no, I don't smell them. Like, oh well. You know what I mean? Like, so good. I love her.
Okay. Let's talk about one of our top 2, Plastique Tiara.
She's annoying. She's annoying. Where do the looks come from? Where are they coming from? Who's making them? Put them on retainer. Like it's just that nod. That first monochromatic bitch. I'm so over it. It's just so symmetrical, so just divinely designed. Like it's just so good. I didn't get the appeal of the constructed look until I saw the episode for a second time. The first time I was like, I'm not getting it, but then something sank in for me when I saw it the second time, and I was like, okay, bitch, yeah, I'm getting it now. I'm getting it. And then that third look, I mean, bitch, I want to see Beyonce in that dress for the bumblebeeness of it all. That's what I want to see. But I love it. I love it. Totally.
Every look was a home run. This, I mean, indisputably the top person for this challenge. This first look came out, and I guarantee this to me is like the only look where everything is actually the same color. It doesn't have a different shade of red or something like that. It is monochromatic from top to bottom. I could tell it was a monochromatic look from the time she walked out. It was incredible. The nod to her Vietnamese heritage and such was just absolutely incredible. This the drag imitates art for me is the weakest of the 3, and that is by a hair. This is such an incredible drag outfit. It was lovely, and I am going to go around record and say this is my favorite constructed look there's ever been on Drag Race.
Oh, wow. High praise.
This is like, look at the shading of paint that she would have to do in order to make that silhouette work for the dress portion. And then that, like, make the cape look like almost like a shawl of some sort. Of that beautiful pink, and then on the back have just the most gorgeous hand-painted cherry blossoms, all of it bringing in some of her heritage and just a nod to various different Asian cultures, while mixing with something of a silhouette that we have only really seen with black and white queens on this show, of taking a nude silhouette and putting it on something. And it's just absolutely stunning. Perfection. She's wearing chapstick in like a false eyelash that's like a wispy lash. It is, and you know what? She doesn't need any more than that. This to me is just beyond. I don't know why we had a top 2. It should have just been Plastique this week. Incredible.
Yeah.
Oh, you are muted, Liana.
No, I was gonna say I agree with Aman. It's just genuinely unfair. Like I just, especially she looks so good, so good. I agree that the constructed look is amazing. I don't know for me if it's like I'd have to look at all the constructed looks to make a decision, but it is certainly up there. It's the way it's so sexy. It's also just so sexy. I'm like turned on. So
it's
we're
so
gonna
sexy, and classy
move on.
at the same time.
Yes.
Oh, so
yes.
good.
Obsessed. I'm
Like
obsessed. Much like art. All right, let's talk about Georges quickly. We have, of course, her weed themed monochromatic look, and then we got a lot of content about her individually stenciling the pattern onto her constructed look, which obviously ended up taking a ton of time, leaving her only a bra for the top.
I actually thought the bra really worked, and I was fine with this. I actually thought that this was really beautiful. Is it the most shocking, incredible thing I've ever seen on the runway? No, but I think this is actually way better than her napkin look with cookie cutters that she had, that she won a challenge for. I like this so much better. I think it's much more elevated style wise. I think that her first look, the Kush look, it's pretty costumey. That gives me Halloween.
It
And
was giving poison ivy.
yes,
yes,
exactly. And I think that her drag becomes art look or whatever it is.
The Picasso,
the Picasso is just like
that's fine.
That was really well done in a way that I wouldn't expect from her. And I thought that I actually really like the line and the tights going up the middle of the legs. I think that's just like a really interesting little thing that is kind of like Picasso, and that he would put lines where you didn't expect them. So I liked how the little nods here and there.
Yum.
Yeah, I enjoyed it too. I think the drag imitates art, like I said, is probably my favorite out of most of all of the queen's looks. So I think she did a pretty good job with that, and I agree. I think that is something that you don't necessarily expect from Georges. The constructed look is great. I mean, definitely a step up from what she won for back in season 14. And I think maybe I don't know, maybe it would have been a little bit too much if she had just like stenciled the bra too. I don't know, maybe that just is a little bit too samey, but I didn't hate the bra in the way that it seemed like some of the judges did. I was like, I think that actually is like a nice little compliment to like the rest of the gown. So I thought Georges did a pretty good job here. I'm, like I know the bar for Georges is like a little lower, so I'm trying not to give her too much, praise. But at the same time, I'm like, bitch, like, I think you did it. This was good. You did a good job. You did a good job.
For sure.
All right, that does it for the looks. We've been through everything. Our top two are Plastique and Gottmik, and we get Harry Belafonte with Jump in the Line.
Yeah.
I don't know why. It was a song I never expected to be on Drag Race, but here we are, and I really enjoyed it. We got two very different, I feel like, interpretations. We got the Beetlejuice and then maybe like the regular interpretation of the song. But, Gottmik ends up taking away the win here, Beth.
I agree with you. It's kind of hard for me to choose who did better than the other. I think it's up to personal taste as to which one you prefer. I think I preferred Plastique a little bit more. But I was entertained by Gottmik, and I was not upset that she won. So
Yeah, I think Gottmik did, she gave us choreography. She also gave us a little bit of comedy. The facial expressions were there. Whereas Plastique just gave like sex the whole time, which is also very entertaining. I expected Plastique to win, so I was kind of surprised when Gottmik won, but I was not mad about Gottmik winning either. So well deserved.
And then Gottmik cuts Angeria. We'll have to wait until next week to see if that was the right decision. But look, she's already got a badge, so it makes sense to cut one of the
beautiful benefactress badge.
Exactly.
Can we talk about the badge? Why is it called? I know why it's called a benefactress badge, but every time she says benefactress, I kept thinking flag factory. So I think I keep calling it the flag factory badge, even though
factory badge.
The factory badge.
The benefactory badge.
Oh boy. Well, there'll be plenty more Flag Factory badges for you in the future, Beth, because we are powering on for the rest of the season. Next week, we have a Snatch Game of Love. I'm so excited for that. And we really are just have, I think, an enjoyable season ahead of us. Let's see how we feel at the end, though. But I think it'll be a good ride. Okay, let's close things out here. Aman, is there anything you want to plug? Anything else you want to say?
Now that's it for me. You can follow me everywhere at Aman Adwin. And I'm just here for some Drag Race All Stars 9. Got a little bit of a break for Big Brother. We just closed out BB Can 12. Almost won that damn draft. Whatever, Sharon. And we'll be back for BB 26 in the next couple months.
Oh my gosh.
Oh
And
my
Beth,
gosh.
what about you?
You can follow me everywhere at AugustaWind11. And yeah, I'm just chilling out, doing Drag Race for RHAP at this time.
All right. You can follow me on Twitter at Liana RHAP. Podcasting about, of course, Drag Race. Masked Singer is almost coming to a close. Same with Survivor. So both of those shows, we're going to wrap up the B&B and Masked Singer both next week. And then Drag Race is my full-time gig, baby. All right. If you want to, and I highly encourage you to do so, leave your star ratings and reviews for us on iTunes. This is incredibly helpful, especially at the beginning of the season. So you can do so. RHAPisawebsite.com/drag race helps people find the show because we are 3 fans and we are 4 fans. And maybe we'll get one more fan. And I couldn't think of the 2. That just, whatever. We'll work on that. Fan. Yes, thank you, Beth. All right. Thank you to the whole RHAP team for all their help behind the scenes. And we'll talk to y'all soon. Bye.